Right, you legends and heliheads. In the last video, Mk2 received some 9003 treatment followed by a splash of 3001. In today's video, we're going to be doing some 5005, a bit more 3001, finish off with some 2-pack, then we're going to custom paint some blades and fit some lights. Are there any questions? No? Do keep up. Welcome, you legends and heliheads, you choppers and stick bangers, you troopers, you speed demons and beautiful subscribers and everyone else passing on the tube of you, swiping your life away. Welcome to this video on Helished. Now, at the beginning there, I mentioned a lot of old numbers. And if you haven't seen the previous video, you can do by clicking on the link up there. But as a reminder, RAL 9003 is the base coat white, matte. RAL 3001, otherwise known as Signal Red, was used for the George Cross. Today we're going to be using RAL 5005 Signal Blue for the St Andrews blue part of the Union flag. Then we'll go back to RAL 3001 Signal Red to do the stripes of the St Patrick's Cross. Then we'll finish it all off. Finish off with some... Then we'll finish off... Oh, fucking upside down again. Finish off, and then we'll finish off. Oh fuck! And then we'll finish off with some 2K hardener lacquer. This is 2K, otherwise known as 2-pack. It's got part lacquer, part hardener in it, and ultimately, when you pull the ring at the bottom there and turn it, it mixes it both together. Gives a harder, deeper gloss and gives you more protection from UV rather than the shit that you buy from Halfords. Yeah, that's taken 20 minutes to do that, and I wasn't happy with it. Now, in paint terms, the red and the blue are known as Signal Red and Signal Blue, so sort of siblings, I suppose, of the same sort of shade. And in the video before this, I mentioned that I Googled Foo, and Google Foo gave me the 9003 for the white, mixed with the 3001 of the red and the 5005 of the blue. But then when I Google Foo'd it afterwards, to try and go back to check something, it gave me completely different numbers. So, you just can't trust anyone or anything nowadays, can you? But the bottom line is, I could do that flag in yellow, orange and green for a Pride Day. People would still know that it was the Union flag. Right, let's move on. As you can see at this stage, I've marked the helicopter up using the template system that I mentioned in the previous video. And I'm very happy with how it's all marked up. What I've got to do now is mask off so that all we've got showing is the areas that we're going to paint blue. So I'm going to do that. We're going to paint it blue and then we're going to come back and see the end result. Right. Phase 3 complete. Oh yes. Yeah, we're getting good at this now, aren't we? Now I use one tin of RAL 5005. And it's all still masked off, etc. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the masking off and we'll be able to see what it's like underneath. Now let's keep our fingers crossed we haven't got any bleed over. I've used that model craft tape, so it should be, fingers crossed, okay. And because we've done the blue on the boom and on the side panels there, we should also be able to take off the model craft tape that has outlined the whole of the flag, like we've still got on the canopy there, because when it comes to the St Patrick's Cross, it will be a very clear delineation between the blue, the white strip, and then the red of the St George's Cross. So we don't actually need it anymore. We could have taken it off before, but you never know how things go, and you might have to redo it again, etc. So I've left it right on to the last minute. Right, let's take this off and let's see what it's like. Quick top tip: make sure you get hold of your rubbers. Make sure you rubber yourself up. You don't want to be touching this with your dirty, oily hands. You want rubber gloves in order to be able to handle this, at least for a couple of days. Pretty bloody good. Did you know what? I'll take that. I'm very happy with that. I've got a couple of minor points just here and there where there's a little bit of bleed over, and I'll repair that in somehow. I'm not sure how yet, but I'm going to get rid of that. But for the boom and the side panels, very happy. Right, now onto the canopy. Let's see how that turns out. I'm quite conscious, legends, that I haven't taken you through any marking or masking up, and That's for a reason. I think everyone finds their own particular way, but I'm very happy to share with you the sort of lessons that I've learned. For the Canopy, I'm using the blue masking tape, which is really good stuff, and the frog tape, because it's quite intricate, as you can see. But I think the key, lesson learnt really is, as you can see here, and that is the masking tape is on top of the model craft tape, as close to the edge as possible, but not compromising the edge. The edge and the tightness of the edge is being created by the model craft tape. The masking tape's job is to prevent the bleed over. So you want to make sure that not only is it nice and snug onto the model craft tape at, towards the edge, but also beyond that, so that, there's less chance of bleed over. But look, everyone finds their own way, okay? And I don't think there's any right way and any wrong way, unless you're a professional, of course, and you've been professionally trained. But find your way, find a way that works and stick with it. I have to say, this Paint Nuts paint is really bloody good. That's 4 coats there. Let's see what it's like when we demask it. Right, there she is, all demasked and demarked and refitted back onto the frame. Look, it's easy to pat yourself on the back when you're doing these things, but if anyone who does know me watching this knows I'm hypercritical about myself a lot when it comes to little projects and things. So, but I'm going to say I'm really pleased. It's come out really, really well. There are some minor areas where there's little tiny bits of bleed over. See that on the blue there on the corner. But to be perfectly frank with you, that is all going to get addressed before I go on to the next phase, which of course is putting the St. Patrick's stripe in. So let's move on to that. Right, we're all marked off, we're all masked out, we're ready to spray on the red cross, the diagonal cross of the St. Patrick's flag. The way I made sure the alignment was correct was I printed off another Union flag and then scalpeled out those particular areas. And obviously that way I can make sure I get it right, unlike Mark 1. Anyway, right, let's go ahead, let's spray it up. Let's see what she looks like. And boom, there she is. Yes. Oh, look at that. And I hasten to say I'm really happy with it, because I've said I'm really, really happy loads of times in this video. And if we were any more happier, we'd be sitting around a campfire in the woods singing Kumbaya. So I'm just going to say I'm very pleased with it. Of course, I'm not a professional paint sprayer, and this hasn't been in a booth. This has been sprayed in the shed and using spray paint straight from Amazon. Thanks, Paint Nuts. Could it be any better? I don't really think so. To be honest with you, I'm very, like I said, pleased with the outcome. We did on this journey, didn't we? We did have some bleed over, and I was open and honest, and I've showed you where we had bleed over, etc. And we tried different ways of tackling that. We tried, of course, touch-up paint, colour matched touch-up paint. But the trouble with using touch-up paint is that it's got obviously thinners inside it. And when you're trying to put this and using this as a touch-up, as we did on the blue or the red, where it was overlapped onto the white, all that happens is that it just merges the colours and you just end up with a pink or cyan mess everywhere. So don't use touch-up paint to address any areas of bleed over. It's just a big, big no-no in my view. So, handy to have if you've missed somewhere, for example, and there's no paint previously on it, but no good really for touching up on top of colour spray over. But this does work. 800 grit newspaper, 800 grit sandpaper, and just a very gentle light sanding over where the bleed over is, and sure enough, after a while it will go. And I'm very content with what we've got. The only bleed over that remains are in areas that are just too difficult to get to, or I run the risk of taking too much off, so I've just left it. It's the holistic effect that you have when you look at the helicopter when it's all put together. That is what you're looking at. If anyone wants to go intimately into the details, well, fucking let them crack on. Next steps for Eve then is to lacquer her. But before we do that, we're going to address the blades. And these are the tail blades that we're going to be using. We've got a tri-blade setup, and we're going to be using 115s. Now, a word on tail blade sizes. Ideally, 700 size helicopters use 105s. The stick bangers and talented hard flyers would sometimes put 110s on there. But, the ideal size is 105s, really, for a 700 size helicopter. 800 size, really the ideal size is 115s. And for something like a 760, or in this case a 747, then the ideal size is 110s. Now yes, our talented individuals in the stick banging world, sometimes they run bigger tail blades, so there's more authority and they can do more superb tricks. Good on them. But for Mr. and Mrs. Average out there, which I'm afraid you are if you're watching this, then you are a sport flyer who likes to fly around, do rolls and flips and loops and just enjoy it for what it is, rather than actually trying to give yourself a cardiac arrest every time you go out there flying, which you do anyway, by doing some amazing tricks that the old stick bangers do. So you are going to run 105s on your 700. These, however, are 115s, which are not ideal, because the ideal size for this size helicopter and my style of flying is 110s, because it's a 747. But at the end of the day, it's only 5 mils extra. We can adjust the tail gain authority, and it will be fine. It will still fly, don't get me wrong or anything. There's more authority there naturally as a result of the blades zipping around at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So we're not going to be too worried about that, and we'll address that in the setup. And the reason why I'm running 115s, put simply, is because I can't get hold of 3 110s. Typical, unusual, but I can't get hold of 3 110s in the UK at the minute. So 115s it is. Now I've already sanded these down very, very lightly, and I will tell you right now that I weighed these at the beginning. 2 of these are 7.47 grams, one of them is 7.38 grams, and they weighed exactly the same before and after. All I've done is I've just taken the top layer, not necessarily off, but just scored the top layer with some Scotch-Brite and some very fine sandpaper, 2000 grit actually, just enough so that there's an etch there so that I can paint on there red, white and blue. I shall probably, with this third blade here, probably give it an extra coat so that it tries to balance out the weight, etc. But having spoken to the font of all knowledge, Uncle Bob, it won't be too much of an issue. And at the end of the day, I'll run the lighter blade in the middle of the other two. So, that creates some form of natural balance. If I want to use a bit of common sense, then it should be fine. Now, what design are we going on these? I don't know yet. I really don't know. So rather than take you on that journey of me umming and ahhing and trying a million different things, I'm going to cut here and we'll just cut straight to me having done these blades. Hell's fire, legends. Look at the length of this video already. So you know what? I'm going to bring this to a close here. On the next video, we'll cover the blades, lights, and a bit of lacquer, preparing her for her maiden flight. Let's hope it goes better than the last one. Remember, it's all about the journey. I hope you've enjoyed this one so far. I've absolutely adored it, loved it. Thanks very much. See you on the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye.